This week's Raw was a mixed bag. You know, we had these elements that were really good, like the CM Punk segment and the main event with Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, and other things too. And then you had this other stuff that just reminded you of, same old shit, same old tired writing that nobody really cares about, and that's put WWE where it is nowadays. And you know, I'm not gonna say it hurt my overall enjoyment because I did enjoy Raw. I thought Raw, you know, it was actually pretty good this week. Now, I did enjoy it more than last week, and, you know, I'm not trying to take anything from last week's Raw. Those of you who saw my review from last week are probably still a little bit upset at me at what I said about it. Look, I'll say this. I will admit that a lot more stuff happened last week than this week, but I feel like there was more substance to this week's Raw than what we got last week. Last week was just setting up what was going to happen in the future, you know. We had Brock Lesnar come in and attack CM Punk to set up their feud. Last week we had Mark Henry do his fake retirement to attack John Cena to set up their match at Money in the Bank, and all that kind of stuff. Last week was pretty much to set up the future for WWE, and for that purpose, it did its job. This week was the continuation of that, and like I said before, there were some things that were done very well, and other things that weren't done so well. But we'll get into that, starting with the opening segment, with Daniel Bryan coming out to address the audience. He talks about how there are people in the WWE who doesn't believe he can win the big one, who thinks he's an embarrassment, who thinks he's a weak link and stuff like that. A weak link, pretty much. And, you know, it starts to play up this whole idea that, you know what, maybe it's not just people saying it that bothers Daniel Bryan. Maybe it's just a little personal issue, and that plays into the whole, you know, inferiority complex. It's him who thinks he's a weak link. And we're getting that more and more as time goes by, you know. And then Randy Orton comes out and, being the badass that he is, takes the mic from Daniel Bryan and goes, "Bitch, shut the fuck up and fight me." And they fight. You know, the match ends in a double DQ, which is fine with me because it sets up their match in the main event later on that night. And I like this. I like this opening segment because, first off, it's two people who don't like each other and just want to beat the living hell out of each other. You know, there's animosity, there's bad blood, and that is what wrestling is made out of. It's a simple element that is easy to get engaged in, it's easy to buy into, it's easy to sink your teeth into, and you know what? It really worked for Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan for this Raw because I felt like they were the highlight of the show. The main event, this opening segment, their backstage stuff, it was done very well. So if I was going to give an MVP award to any superstar during a Raw, it would be Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton because this was the highlight of the night. There were other good things about Raw, but this one was the highlight, especially that main event. The main event, I'm just going to talk about it because I'm not someone that likes going in order about the show. If you saw the show, you don't need me to go in order. So the main event was awesome. The street fight with Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan was fun. It was hard-hitting. There was a lot of weapons being used. It felt like a street fight. You know, we had these hardcore rule matches where weapons hardly get used and people hardly do anything that's hardcore, which is like, why even have a stipulation? They used weapons. They took advantage of the stipulation in this match, and I enjoyed it so much. And at the end, where Daniel Bryan made Randy Orton tap out with a candlestick assisted no lock, I'll call it that, was pretty awesome. I thought that was well executed. The entire match was awesome. We got a lot of counters. We got a lot of crazy spots with them. The weapons being used. It looked brutal. It looked like a fight, and I really appreciate both Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan for giving me that match. Daniel Bryan goes over as expected, and then at the end we got this tense moment where Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan stare each other down, and then Randy Orton shakes hands with them, but it's one of these handshake moments that's like, they're shaking hands, but you can tell there's still some tension there. And then when Randy Orton walks off, you see him smile a little bit, and it's like, okay, I don't think he was completely sincere about that handshake. It makes you actually want to tune in to see what Randy Orton's going to do next, and I like that. And this is something that Randy Orton has been missing for a while. You know, Randy Orton has always been portrayed as that badass, good guy, the anti-hero type of character, but he never really had something to work with. But he rarely gets a chance to showcase it because they hardly give him anything to work with. He got something to actually work with this week with the whole sympathetic babyface character that is Daniel Bryan right now, who thinks he's a weak link and people feel sorry for him. Here comes Randy Orton going, bitch, I don't feel sorry for you. You're a man. Grow the fuck up. So it's, you know, you get a chance to see Randy Orton be that badass character and actually have a foil to work with, and that was good to see that from Randy Orton this week. So yes, the MVPs of this Raw was Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan, and I look forward to seeing what they do with them going in to Money in the Bank this Sunday because they are in, both of them are in the Raw Money in the Bank. So I'll get more into that later on in the video. But moving on to the next topic here. Sheamus and Christian versus the Rhodes Scholars. Usually, I wouldn't care about matches like this because it's like, okay, obviously Sheamus and Christian gotta go over because they're the good guys. But usually I just don't talk about it, but this aggravated me because aren't Christian and Sheamus bitter enemies? Seriously, they had a bitter rivalry in 2012, 11, actually it was 2011, but it spilled over into 2012. So what, all of a sudden they're cool now? I don't mind them being friends, but we need to have a reason. We need some explanation to how they became friends, especially with the rivalry they had. Christian did not like Sheamus. I mean, it is nitpicking, and I'll admit it's small nitpicking that I'm probably blowing out of proportion. But that's how I am. Small stuff like that, although it is a nitpick, it aggravates me because, one, you can do something with that and make it a lot more interesting, but two, fans aren't stupid. We remember their rivalry. I like a little continuity in my wrestling show, my TV show, please. That would be nice. Again, I don't mind them being friends, but clear up that gap, please. I don't care if you clear it up backstage and do a little 5-second clip where they're just like, look, I know me and you don't like each other, but let's put our differences aside for today so we can get through this match. Something as simple and small as that will clear up everything. I like continuity in my wrestling show. That's just it. You know, some of y'all may not even care about this match, but it's just something that aggravated me. But whatever. Sheamus and Christian won, and they shake hands and hug because they're good friends now, without an explanation to it. Alright, the next match here is Oksana versus Caitlyn. The match really wasn't all that special. Caitlyn beats Oksana, but what was special was AJ Lee coming out dressed as Caitlyn and mocking her in some kind of a manly, muscular suit. You know, kind of like what Layla did to Mickie James in a fat suit and stuff like that, whatever. Kind of like that. She came out with Big E Langston. They reran the whole Secret Admirer segment with AJ Lee saying that Caitlyn sounds like a man and pretty much is a walking transvestite. And you know, Caitlyn sold it pretty well with her getting angry and Layla holding her back and stuff. It was fine. You know, it wasn't anything groundbreaking. Could it have been better? Yes, it could have been better, but it's a lot better than what we usually get. And you know what? I like it. I like where it's going, and I want to see where it goes. Apparently, Caitlyn is starting to go down that same route that AJ Lee went down, but it plays up the whole idea of, okay, we've seen AJ Lee go crazy. We haven't seen Caitlyn go crazy. What's going to happen when she actually does go crazy after AJ Lee pushes all her buttons and stuff like that? I can see AJ Lee pushing Caitlyn over the edge, and then she goes crazy like AJ Lee did in 2012, which leads into another match at Money in the Bank. And you know what? Let's give it a stipulation, because as a feud advances, so should the matches. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. I like what they're doing with them. And then we get into Chris Jericho versus Alberto Del Rio. The match was, it was decent. What really mattered was what happened after the match. Because after the match, Dolph Ziggler came in, attacked Del Rio like he did last week. And on SmackDown because Ziggler wants revenge for Del Rio taking advantage of his concussion and taking the championship away from him. Makes sense. And then after the match, he attacked Chris Jericho like Chris Jericho attacked him on SmackDown. And this is what I was talking about when I was referring to Christian and Sheamus having their little bad blood. See, Chris Jericho and Ziggler are both good guys, but they don't like each other. There's still that bad blood rivalry they had in 2012. And we're seeing it play out here. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about continuity, alright? They didn't like each other back then. They don't like each other now. And it makes sense. And they're both good guys, so why can't we have more of this with the good guys, you know? I don't like this mentality where all good guys have to be on one side and all bad guys have to be on another. I hate that logic. That logic is not very realistic. I get why they do it, but let's mix things up and make it more interesting, okay? This was good. Now, where it led to, I didn't like, because I think Ryback had a match later on and fought the Great Khali. I'm not going to talk about it because I didn't care. I mean, what do you want me to say? Ooh, Ryback slammed the Great Khali. Nice. You know, it's no different than my niece giving me a picture she drew at school today, and I'm going, oh, that's a nice picture. You know, oh, that's nice, you can pick up and slam the Great Khali. That's wonderful. You know, nothing really special came out of it. And then we got a backstage segment with Ryback and Chris Jericho complaining that they're not in the Money in the Bank match. And just like that, they get put in a match at Money in the Bank. No reason why, they just got put in the match. You know, and it's... that's what I'm talking about, guys. Obviously, they're going to use Chris Jericho to break the losing streak that Ryback has at pay-per-views. He's going to beat Chris Jericho in a one-on-one match so he can say, oh, I finally won a match at pay-per-views. The streak has been broken. Ryback is back on the trail to greatness. And it's kind of sad that Chris Jericho's actually going with this because, let's be honest, Chris Jericho has been absolutely directionless. He hasn't done anything since Fandango, honestly, because his feud with CM Punk didn't go anywhere. He lost to him, and that didn't lead to anything. So what? He's gonna lose to Ryback, and that's gonna be it. You know, I understand Chris Jericho wants to put people over, but for you to put people over, you have to matter. You have to feel important. And I'm sorry, Chris Jericho doesn't feel important right now. He's facing 3MB, random people, not really having a storyline of his own. He's just there. And now he's going to put in an insignificant program with Ryback that's not going to advance either one of them. So what did Chris Jericho lose to Ryback? Okay, he's lost to a lot of people this year. It's not like Chris Jericho beat a CM Punk and then lost to a Ryback, because then you're carrying over momentum. Chris Jericho has no momentum. He lost to Fandango, lost to CM Punk, and has trouble beating Del Rio, so now he's going to face Ryback and probably lose to him too. So you have to excuse me if I really don't care about this feud, because I really don't. I'm sorry. Can someone please tell me why the McMahons are on TV? Seriously, I have yet to figure out why Vince McMahon, Triple H, and Stephanie are there. I like seeing them. I think they're cool people, and I love their characters. I love all three of them. But I ask again, why are they there on my TV today? Yeah, I know USA wants to see them more on TV. I get that. Fine, but if they're gonna be on my TV set, make them important, make them matter. Don't just have them appearing in random segments that don't really lead to anything. It really doesn't matter. Oh, Vince McMahon didn't like Daniel Bryan. Oh, Triple H likes Daniel Bryan. And he tells Vicky Guerrero, hey, let the fans decide what match we're going to have tonight. It's just like, why couldn't Vicky Guerrero just decide street fight? I mean, again, I get what they was trying to do, but honestly, the Raw active was what? No DQ, false count anywhere, and street fight. It's the exact same match. Seriously. Whatever. I don't get the whole purpose of them being here. Stephanie McMahon didn't serve a purpose either. I get it, they was trying to do like some kind of a corporate struggle where what they was doing was having a bad effect on the show, but it doesn't affect the show at all. Honestly, we could just have Team Bricky, and I'll get to them in a second, but Vicky Guerrero could have just came out and done all this by herself. It doesn't feel like they have an impact on the show as characters. But Team Bricky, Vicky Guerrero, and Brad Maddox, I'm sorry. Look, I love Vicky. Okay, keep Vicky there. But why is Brad Maddox there? He literally could be played by anybody. Anybody. JTG could do what Brad Maddox is doing right now, but better because JTG is funny. At least he's funny. R-Truth could be doing what Brad Maddox is doing right now. There's no reason to have, what, how many bosses is this? I guess Brad Maddox is a boss, so 1, Vicky Guerrero, and then Vince, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon. Why do we have 5 bosses? Why do we have 5 people running Raw? We don't need that many people running a show, especially when they have no impact on it overall as characters, so whatever. I guess we have to deal with it because the network wants them on TV for some reason, I guess. Then we got the WWE 2K14 video game segment with The Rock being announced as the guy in the cover. So, yeah, The Rock's in the front cover. I mean, if you like playing the WWE video games, you're gonna buy it anyways, whether he's on the cover or not. So, who cares, really? Alright, then we get to the John Cena and Mark Henry segments. So, John Cena comes out and cuts a promo talking about how there had been people who held the championship and stuff like that, and Mark Henry, you're a bad person for using your family and stuff to get you a title shot. I'm gonna beat you at Money in the Bank. And then Mark Henry comes out and goes, yes, I fooled you. Yes, I played you all like puppets, and I don't feel sorry for it. Deal with it. And as I sat and listened to those promos, I went, they have no idea how to follow up what they did last week with the retirement segment. They don't, and it's kind of sad really because last week was a very interesting promo. That was the best part of Raw, and fans want to see the fallout of it, and the fallout was just them going, you're a bad guy. Yep. That's what it was. That's all it really was this week, and it was very disappointing for me. I mean, they could have done so many other things. I'm not saying Mark Henry has to do anything spectacular or anything like that. Look, here's a scenario. Mark Henry shows up on Raw, and then he's meeting people backstage, his friends and stuff like that, primetime players and stuff, and they're all going, dude, that was screwed up. Dude, come on. Why'd you do that, man? You fooled me, man. I trusted you. I believed you. That was cold-blooded, man. I'm mad at you. And Mark Henry just smiles. And you can even do something like CM Punk showing up and going, you know what? I made fun of a guy having a heart attack. I poured a dead man's ashes and so on. But one thing that I will never do, I will never use my family in the manner that you use. You know, something like that. Something that illustrates that although the locker room doesn't agree with what he did, Mark Henry is willing to do whatever it takes. Use his family, use his friends, use whatever he can to get a WWE title shot and to get the WWE Championship. That was what was needed to be illustrated on this show, but they didn't do that. They just have him come out and cut promos. John Cena, oh, you're a bad guy. Mark Henry, yep, I'm a bad guy, deal with it. It's like, y'all, really? Something as simple as illustrating why Mark Henry is the bad guy, they could not do this week. And that's just sad. This is one of the things that I was talking about. Same old shit. You can't illustrate why someone's a bad guy and give fans a reason to boo him. No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to assume the fans will boo Mark Henry because, oh, he went against John Cena. Whatever. He attacked John Cena. He's a bad guy. Stupid. Stupid. I'm sorry. I didn't like these promos. Very bad way to continue the feud and a horrible way to carry over the momentum that was started last week. I mean, my interest with the feud is still there, but it's a lot lower than where it was last week. And honestly, if this continues, I'm just not going to care. I'm just going to see Mark Henry as just another piece of meat to beat John Cena. We'll see where it goes. I mean, they can always get it back because Mark Henry's an awesome talent. And I do think the promo last week made him more of a babyface than a heel. But it all depends on how it's booked, people. It all depends on how it's booked. Next up is a #1 contendership matchup to determine who's going to be the next tag team championship contenders. And the match had the Usos, Tons of Funk, and 3MB. Guess who won? The Usos. I'm sorry. 3MB, give me a break. Really? Tons of Funk? Yeah, I like Tons of Funk, but they're not doing anything with this tag team. They haven't gotten one segment on Raw. On the YouTube show, sure, but not on Raw, and that's dumb. They're not really using Tons of Funk or making the most out of them, and I think that's stupid. So, of course, the Usos are going to win. They're the only relevant tag team that was in this match. But you know what? I am looking forward to seeing the match between the Usos and the Shield. That should be potentially a good to great match, whether it's at Money in the Bank or something like that. But I look forward to seeing what they do with those two teams, especially with the Wyatt family coming in. I don't know when they're coming in, but I hear they're coming in soon. But they're also going to be in the tag team division, and I look forward to seeing what they do as the focal point of that division. So the tag team division is looking good. I want to see more people like Epico and Primo, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, and stuff like that. Let's get more of those tag teams showcased. And I think the tag team division could get back to a point where it feels like it's an important part of the show again. You know what I'm saying? So I look forward to seeing where that goes. And then we talk about the CM Punk and Paul Heyman segment. One of the best parts of the show, definitely. I liked the promo. I thought CM Punk was very passionate on the microphone. He brought the history about why him and Heyman are friends, why he has so much admiration for Paul Heyman and what he does and stuff like that. Because if it wasn't for Paul Heyman, CM Punk wouldn't have come to WWE and he wouldn't be where he is today. Whether you want to talk about how he got in WWE or his run as the WWE champion, Paul Heyman was an integral part of CM Punk's career. So of course when Paul Heyman tells CM Punk, no, I didn't send Brock Lesnar out there, and you can tell he's BSing him in some type of way, but you can understand why CM Punk would be swayed by Paul Heyman because that's his best friend. That's the only friend he has in the WWE. That's the only person he can trust and he trusts. So of course CM Punk is going to trust Paul Heyman's word. It makes a lot of sense, and I like where they're going with this. I'm happy they didn't go with this, oh, CM Punk is a good guy now, so break it off. No, they're showing some tension between Punk and Paul Heyman, but they're going to keep them together and let that tension build. And eventually, Heyman or CM Punk is going to turn on the other, and then we're going to have the big feud with CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. So I like that. And you know what? I don't mind them using the primetime players to help build the feud. I mean, some of y'all may have wanted the primetime players to go into the tag team match, but let's be honest, guys. Do you think they would have won? No. So, you know what? I like the primetime players being used to help advance a storyline between, and a feud between CM Punk and Paul Heyman and CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. I do hope they get TV time to look important because the primetime players are one of the most entertaining tag teams in that roster. They need TV time. They deserve TV time. I mean, if you're going to do this match between the primetime players versus CM Punk and Curtis Axel, might as well give the primetime players some importance, you know. But play up the whole idea that Darren Young is CM Punk's NXT rookie and, you know, show the history between them. Because obviously they're blurring the lines with Paul Heyman apparently acting like a babyface, but not really a babyface. He had Curtis Axel go out there and make the save. And it keeps you guessing where it's going to go. And I actually like that very much, so I'm really excited about what they're going to do with CM Punk, Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, Curtis Axel, and any other Paul Heyman guys they add to the storyline going into the future. All I'm going to do is sit and enjoy the ride, because that's all I want to do. Alright, and then the final thing I want to talk about when it comes to Raw is the Raw Money in the Bank. It was announced that Daniel Bryan, Kane, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Christian, Sheamus, and the returning Rob Van Dam are going to be in a Money in the Bank match. And those of you who saw my recent video about Money in the Bank know how much I despise main eventers getting the Money in the Bank match. This one, I'm going to let it slide because, again, Daniel Bryan obviously is going to win this one, hopefully. But the match seems like it's going to be good. It's stacked, for sure. But it also has the potential to be a really good match. I mean, look at the people in it. Randy Orton, Kane, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Sheamus, Christian, and the returning RVD. It has all the makings to be an awesome match. And if I get an awesome match out of it, I'll forgive the fact that we have main eventers going for the Money in the Bank briefcase. Especially if Daniel Bryan wins, so no complaints there. But I do hope we get a second match, you know. I do want a SmackDown Money in the Bank match with people like Cody Rhodes, Damian Sandow, Antonio Cesaro, and the list goes on. People who have not been world champion yet. That is who I feel the briefcase should be for. Not people who were already world champion. They don't need the Money in the Bank briefcase. The people who need it are those trying to get into the main event scene. Like a Cody Rhodes, like a Damian Sandow, like a Antonio Cesaro, and other stuff like that. So, I hope they do a second Money in the Bank match. And if they do, awesome. But yeah, guys, that was Raw. Like I said, a lot of good stuff happened, but a lot of the stuff that made me go, same old shit, I'm tired of this happened as well. But I still enjoyed it. And if we get more Raws like this, or even better Raws like this in the future, you will see me come up here more and more often talking about them. But share me your thoughts down below about how you felt about this Raw. How you feel about what I said in the video, the Raw Money in the Bank, CM Punk and Paul Heyman, everything I talked about in this video. Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. Leave it down below in the comment section or make a video response to what you do. But your boy, Alyx, has said all he wanted to say about the subject. So subscribe to me if you have not. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my second channel for tributes and matchups. Check out the Wrestling Podcast, Wrestling Paradise. Everything down below in the description box. And I'll catch you guys at my next video. Your boy, Alyx signing off. Peace